All right, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a Bengals team that's starting to build some momentum after a really tough start. They're heading in the right direction now. Defense is really starting to pick it up. We know the offense is solid, but under the radar, there's a strategic shift the Bengals are enacting on the offensive side of the football that should not only help propel them the rest of the season, but could make them a serious threat, put them ahead of their competition in the AFC. Exciting news out of Cincinnati coming up. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, talking about the Bengals here, of course, offensively, we know they're laced with talent. We know Joe Burrow is an MVP caliber quarterback playing at that level. We know Jamar Chase, all pro receiver caliber, Higgins, right? It's a great group, undeniably so. The real question was going to be coming into the season, what are these new additions going to provide? What are some of these young guys going to build to this offense? And how are the Bengals going to adjust strategically? We've seen a seismic shift in Cincinnati's strategy so far, and I think it gives them a critical advantage, or at least it could, the rest of the way. Let's dive into this report first, and we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of The Athletic. Cincinnati has never gone this deep into the 12 personnel portion of the playbook, but rookie tight end Eric All, and blocking tight end Drew Sample have opened up a world of creativity unseen under Zach Taylor. The Bengals, who ranked second in the NFL the previous 3 years in 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end, three wide receivers, have shifted to one of the heaviest users of two tight ends in the league this year. They rank fifth in the league at 28.9%, and that shift is because it has proven effective. They rank in the top 10 in yards per play, yards per carry, and passer rating, while in 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends. They are exactly 50% of 12 personnel plays. They are at, 50% of 12 personnel plays, say that 5 times fast, being runs, which is saying something for a team that leads the NFL in pass rate on neutral downs. Creating angles, being able to create certain kickout blocks from unanticipated positions from a defensive perspective, pitcher said. If you can vary the looks and build it out so that within that look, there's 4 or 5 different things they've got to be ready to defend, it's always going to be useful. You have to have the people who can do that, the people who can move and react and see, make good decisions. We feel like we have that in those tight ends, talking about Sample and All, of course. It helps limit the element of predictability. That last sentence is critical. We know this Bengals offense is talented, but going into the season, myself, I was concerned there'd be a little predictable living out of the gun, trying to feed Burrow and Higgins almost exclusively over the season. And I know you Bengals fans have seen it. They've come out some very interesting formations, some two tight end heavy packages, even if Eric All's essentially lined up as a fullback, and it's done some really good things for the offense, should do a lot of good things for them going forward. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all this. But first, Bengals fans in the comment section below, got a kind of interesting matchup this weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. You never know what kind of team you're going to get out of Philly. Some weeks they look like Super Bowl contenders. Some weeks they look like you should be competing for a top 5 draft pick. All that aside, you need a win. Give us your prediction, final score, Bengals, Eagles in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest news out of Cincinnati?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is good news for the offense going forward because I think we've seen a shift at the tight end position ever since going all the way back to, and this is a hard one to talk about, but Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski was the first like premier two tight end set I think we've seen that really kind of, whenever those two guys were out on the field, you really didn't know. They were good at blocking, but they were also great at receiving. It really kind of muddled the picture and helped that offense be as dynamic as it was. And this year, we see so many teams doing that now with the Bengals joining that, being one of the top teams to do that. I think it's going to be really good for them. But you look around the league, there's a lot of other teams that do something similar to that as well. Let's talk specifically about two of the front runners in the AFC, the teams of Bengals competition. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs. They have Travis Kelsey, Noah Gray doing a lot of really great stuff as well. I think those two tight ends being on the field has been really interesting. Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely also made a really good duo. Having two tight ends, we look at the Raiders, not as successful. That's mainly the quarterback, but you've got Brock Bowers, got Michael Mayer. Those are two young, dynamic tight ends that really kind of help when those guys are out there. Brock Bowers has been fantastic. Michael Mayer has been a fantastic blocker. I think we look through the league, a lot of great two tight end teams, and I think the Bengals see that, and not only are they doing the same thing, but they're doing it at a higher rate. They understand, hey, we were predictable. We showed a lot of, just really 11 personnel in the past, one of the highest teams at doing that. let's make a seismic shift to something is working, go all in on that, get one of the highest usages of 12 personnel now, and get on this tight end trend. I think the mismatches that tight ends present in the passing game, whether it's blocking or receiving that they're doing, is really key. And I think this is why the Bengals are showing they're doing something really smart that's going to benefit their offense going down the road in the future.
Yeah, let's bring some historical context into this. You know, I love NFL history. Talking about recent history, over the past 15 years, the dominant force in the NFL AFC, of course, was obviously the Peyton Manning Indianapolis Colts, later Denver Broncos, Tom Brady with the New England Patriots, Ben Roethlisberger with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they were very much shotgun, spread it out, 3-4 wide receivers, basically spread football meets the National Football League. Then you had the Legion of Boom, led by Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator at the time. He went on to be the head coach and a couple different times head coach and defensive coordinator for some other teams. He came up with an answer to it with a very physical single high safety look, going a completely different approach to really try and stop those spread offenses. So what did teams do to counteract that? Then you had the Shanahan-McVay revolution, was like, okay, listen, if you're going to go single high, if you're going to try and stop these spread attacks, we're going to go with a spread offense with one tight end, 3 receivers, 1 running back, but we're going to zone power football down your throat and do bootlegs off of it just to completely negate everything you want to do there. And then the counteraction to that has basically been, all right, we're just going to be as big as we possibly can with our linebackers, but still stay small on the outside. So you basically saw what I call big nickel. Like the Ravens do this, to bring up another Ravens example, where you basically have, and the Chiefs do this, the Bengals do this a lot as well. You basically have your 4 defensive linemen, 2 massive linebackers, and then you go 5 DBs. And that's sort of the counter to that. The corresponding move to beat that then is to then take a receiver off the field and put a tight end, because it does not matter how big and strong your nickel corner is, matched up physically against a tight end, he's going to lose. And that's the numbers advantage you can get, especially if you're a team like the Bengals, who has not 1 but 2 great receivers in Chase and Higgins. This is a really smart strategy by Cincinnati. And these personnel groupings, they go a long way to determining success, because teams in the middle of the season, it's too late. They can't change the roster. They can't just go, well, shoot, we were a big nickel team, now we got to change and we got to be a 4-3 traditional with 3 linebackers. They don't have the personnel to do that. They can't change midseason. If the Bengals can continue to execute with these 2 heavy tight ends, there's 12 personnel, there's very few teams in the National Football League can match up, because once again, if they try and go heavy and bring safeties in the box, they're leaving one-on-one on the outside with Jamar Chase and Higgins, which is going to be a victory for the Bengals all day long. Zach Taylor has taken a lot of criticism, rightly so, for how he's managed this team in terms of game management, situational football, all that kind of stuff. But him, along with Pritchard, with their change in strategy for the offense, is absolutely perfect. It's setting themselves up for a big move the rest of the season. I know everyone's excited to see Burrow in the shotgun. He's playing great. But I tell you what, Cincinnati fans, this personnel package, Eric all on the field, Sample on the field, running back on the field, with either Higgins or Chase on the field as well, different wide receivers depending on how you want to break it out. There's not a team right now in the AFC that can match up with that, and that makes this Bengals offense a very serious threat the rest of the year.